Development of sustainable alternatives to fossil fuels and sustainable alternatives to other forms of consumption must happen in the immediate future if human societies are to avoid environmental collapse, failed states, and consequent civil chaos, now the #1 threat to survival of human civilizations. Unfortunately, the establishment remains largely oblivious of the emergency that faces all of us. Humans just do not respond adequately to anything but an immediate personal threat. The response to these potentially catastrophic environmental dangers has been, at best, anemic. No one has proposed an easy fix for these global problems. Allow me to suggest that an earth-centered spirituality, dark green religion, if you will, holds much promise. Dark green religion is biocentric and recognizes all species as valuable, irrespective of their usefulness to human beings. It recognizes the kinship of all life based on Darwinian understanding that all living things have evolved from a common ancestor. Dark green religion stands as critical of the concept of human moral superiority, which is reinforced by science-based cosmology that reveals how tiny and short-lived human beings really are in the totality of the universe. Were the extent of my reach to represent the currently accepted span of geologic time for planet Earth, the proportional time of all human history could be obliterated by a partial swipe of a smooth file across my fingernail. It's gone. All evidence of human history on planet Earth. As I digested Bron Taylor's text, I expected to encounter abundant reference to Unitarian Universalism and its seventh principle. Total omission of analysis of our faith surprised me. My sense that our program recognizes the interdependent web of existence makes me proud to be a UU, and is in fact what drew me here to begin with. We are already ahead of the curve. I find a study of Paul Watson's activism and beliefs worth sharing. In 1972, the same year that I started teaching at FLCC, he co-founded Greenpeace, a radical environmental organization. He and many of his contemporaries seemed motivated mostly by love and the desire to heal the environment. He urged people to abandon the world's dominant religions on the basis that they promote violence, bigotry, and anthropocentrism, with emphasis on superiority and divinity of human species. Christians, he maintains, worship the Creator, but not creation. Yet in the name of the Creator, they advocate the destruction of creation. Were the focus of reverence to be directed towards Mother Earth, conflict between human cultures would certainly diminish. Religions have rules. The rules of dark green religion have been in place since life began. These laws include the requirement for maintenance of biological diversity, recognition of the interdependence and interconnectedness of all living things and the totality of their environment, the need for total recycling of nutrients, recognition of the limits of population growth of any species, and recognition of the sustainable carrying capacity of any living system. These are, in fact, natural laws, the inviolable laws of ecology. To ignore these laws is to ensure the ultimate collapse of any living system. If born of Earth, we return to Earth. The soil itself is our collective ancestry and should be sacred to us. The same water molecules that cycled through cycads, oak trees, dinosaurs, grizzly bears, humans, and every other living thing, water is common to all life and should also be sacred. The air we breathe has been chemically stabilized by endless generations of plants and animals that have nurtured the atmosphere, making the air sacred as well. as I sat in the audience for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation hearing on hydrofracking in Dansville last fall, I found myself regretting my failure to request 3 minutes to say, in effect, that the potential impact of hydrofracking is, in addition to 100 other negative impacts on human health and the environment, about as serious a violation of the sacred nature of soil, water, and air as anyone could imagine. Probably would have thrown me out, but I would love to have said that. It's against my religion. More than any other individual, Henry David Thoreau is considered the eco-spiritual elder. Social justice advocates, anti-war crusaders, conservationists, deep ecologists, radical environmentalists, and anarchists claim him as their own. Many activists speak of Thoreau's texts as sacred. Other writers as well evoke feelings of reverence, particularly Ralph Waldo Emerson, John Muir, Aldo Leopold. Increasingly, the works of Rachel Carson, Gary Snyder, Thomas Berry, Edward Abbey, and many others contribute to the development of thought and behavior consonant with the expansion of dark green religion. I must admit to a recent and vastly increased appreciation of the writings of Thoreau, most of which I read for the first time in my earlier years. The beauty of his expression, his sheer intellectual power, and most of all his charismatic view of the spiritual quality of nature make him every bit as relevant today as he was when he died at the age of 44 in 1862. From Walden, Thoreau's best-known work. In the midst of a gentle rain, I was so distinctly made aware of the presence of something kindred to me, even in the scenes we are accustomed to call wild and dreary, and also that the nearest blood to me in the humanist was not a person nor a villager, that I thought no place could ever be strange to me again. Few individuals come close to the expression of reverence for nature as did John Muir, a Scottish immigrant who founded the Sierra Club. Said Muir, writing of his experiences in the Sierra Nevada mountains, "Now came the solemn, silent evening. Long, blue, spiky shadows crept out across the snowfields, while a rosy glow, at first scarce discernible, gradually deepened and suffused every mountaintop, flushing the glaciers and harsh crags above them. This was the alpenglow. To me, one of the most impressive of all terrestrial manifestations of God. At the touch of this divine light, the mountains seemed to kindle a rapt religious consciousness and stood hushed and waiting like devout worshipers. Just before the alpenglow began to fade, 2 crimson clouds came streaming across the summit like wings of flame, rendering the sublime scene yet more impressive. Then came the darkness and the stars.